and welcome to Unhinged History, the podcast where we learn about history that we didn't get to learn about in school, and we're kind of going to subject you to what we're doing now. I'm Theresa, and that's
Angie.
Yep. And each time I make that intro up off the spot, and it cracks her up, and I'm not sure why I'm not changing it. I'm not going to give her something predictable, and it's not too radically different, but it's still.
No, it gets me every single time because it is we're subjecting you to the stories we need to share right now.
So I don't know if your family does this, but like this is a household of neurodivergence, and we have recognized that there are times where members of my household, including me, will just need to info dump.
Mhm.
And if you don't have that heads up and you interrupt the person info dumping, it's very rough on both of you. And
Yes.
yeah. hmm
Hmm.
And so like I will be with, Hubs and Kiddo, and we'll be driving her to school, and she'll start talking, and we'll try to engage because this is a conversation. Streets go both ways. And she'll kind of stop. She'll go, okay, stop. Hold on. Mom, Dad, can I info dump?
I have to say this to you.
And that's when we kind of go, okay. And our eyes kind of zone out, only keeping enough focus so that we can pay attention to the traffic in front of us so that we don't, kill everybody in the car. And she just prattles on. And then it's like, whew, all right, thanks, guys. Bye.
Yeah. So okay. So yes, I do that. I am the worst one of that. And the other day I was like just like, but I didn't pre-warn Ian that I had to share this. And he literally got up and walked out of the room. And I was like, dude, I wasn't done. And he's like, well, you wouldn't stop. And I was like, oh, a heads up would have been nice. Oh, sorry about that. Dude, I was telling Ian, I think while I was taking the notes for the story, that I think one of my favorite things about history is how history collides with itself. And
hmm
we as people looking back on it are like, holy crap, y'all existed at the same time together. That's weird.
Right.
Like these, like I guess because our minds are linear in time, right? So we're like, oh yeah, like Marilyn Monroe existed very far away from Anne Frank.
Oh,
But like, okay, all that to say, neither of those women are in my story. But that's how my brain was like, wait a minute, they did not.
well, this is like when I made the connection that okay, so the doctor, I think it's Samwise, I can't remember his last name, but he figured out germ theory and like, hey, these midwives are delivering babies and the mothers aren't dying, but yet doctors who go like elbows deep into a cadaver and then wander
Right.
back to deliver a baby, their patients are dying. Maybe we should have them wash their hands. And the doctors are like, F you don't get to tell me what to do. These
Yeah.
women are proud to die by my hand. And
Don't think they are,
but
sir.
it's like that was happening after or just before Frankenstein was written. Like, so there's like, it's like in that timeline. And if you look at like the medical advancements of the time and recognize all the things going on as Mary Shelley is building this whole world in her brain before she tells it as a ghost story, you're like, okay, oh, I, I don't, hmm,
I don't
like
want to live
they,
on this planet anymore.
yeah, like during the time she wrote Frankenstein, they were still lopping off the hands off of convicted criminals that had been executed and using them as candles.
That's so gross.
Like obviously there's a little bit more of the processing before you just take a hand and, light it
Oh
on
yeah, thank you
fire.
for clarifying. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't say I have the actual book on how to do it. Like it's not like on
I'm
this bookshelf where I can just kind
I'm
of
I just each finger has a wick.
yeah,
Uh,
there's a way to do it. I mean, I know I spent a time compulsively learning about that, but that was honestly a good 3 to 5 years ago.
it's still gross. It doesn't make it better. 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 It doesn't make it better.
No, fair.
now I can't get this. Like,
You're
that's a
welcome.
good sized candle. It's your right side, right? Like,
Oh, I mean, but see, my candle would be very different than my husband's. I mean, my husband's would be like a damn near fruit bowl.
oh, we needed both hands,
Oh, how artistic.
right?
This season from West Elm.
It's our fall collection.
You know what though? Like you say that, and I literally went to West Elm's website during the fall and I was just looking through their stuff. They like, I have, I'm just starting to get into the idea of decorating the house for seasonality, right? They had the most upscale, like serpentine dishes and like goblets with like, it was incredible. And I almost wish I had more money than sense and the storage to have, seasonal drinkware.
Dinnerware.
Yeah.
I feel
But
that.
because it was like, I'm not pretentious enough for that yet. Like I got to grow into that. That's
You know what? At least you have pretentious goals. I'm here. I'm here for it.
okay. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever hit them, but it's like you see it on the horizon and you go, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's, you know,
yeah, I like it.
I'm gonna need my husband to build me a Martha Stewart shed where I'm just like, okay, and here's where we put the
Okay,
seasonal.
but this is only gonna work if you have a friend like Snoop Dogg.
If you are a Snoop Dogg like human and wish to join this ensemble, please email us at
Please, we are begging you. I am entertained by everything this man does. It's just side quests. That's all he's doing now. Like he's just having fun.
right.
And I want every sport to be announced by him. Like
Oh,
the Olympics were gold because of
yeah.
his announcing, and I need to see like chess, ESPN Ocho all needs to be done by him.
I okay, you say this. I now want to see a mashup between Snoop Dogg and Morgan Freeman narrating things, just because I don't know how they would play off each other, but I feel like the dissonance of their two personas would be hysterical.
I feel like we need to figure out how to get this on like going because they win.
So yesterday, a hard pull into a subject turn. Um, you told me that your story is your favorite story that
Mm-hmm.
you've even come up with, and you said it is up there, if not surpassing the pig war.
No, I didn't say surpassing. I said it's up there with the pig wars. I think I'm hoping I can do it justice as you did the pig war justice.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I honestly don't think anything's gonna surpass the pettiness of the pig war.
I mean it delightfully petty.
like,
And the escalation up to like, and it's bizarre that like episode 3 is a moment where we both went like, oh, fantastical.
keep it going.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I can only hope that I do the story the same justice you gave the pig war because it is so. I've decided that blunders are my absolute favorite thing. Like blunders and pettiness. Could we be any dumber than we are right now when this historical event happens?
I've learned not to say that because I feel like society views it as a challenge.
Oh, I'm. You're right. I'm sorry. I take it back. You're right.
I mean, and I think I got that idea from like an e-card that was just like, I've stopped asking my coworkers, could you get any dumber? Because they view it as a challenge.
Society as a whole, yeah. Okay, so I agree with you, but at least in this respect, we get to watch society from the back end be dumb while we're not involved in it.
Okay, I'm here for that. Because honestly, like living through these historical events that my kids and grandkids will read about, it's just tiring.
Oh my god, yeah. Absolutely. I'll go first if you want to go first if you want me to go first. Mine's not terribly long. It's just there's a lot involved. Does that make sense?
Okay, so let me break it down and recap what I'm hearing. So the story itself can be told quickly, but there's a lot of facts and things that you're going to get through that I might need to digest.
Yes, that was
Okay.
perfect. Yeah.
So how about I just interrupt you nonstop like I always do and ask questions and make bizarre comments and we go from there.
I'm here for it. Perfect. I also need you to know that this week's notes are also handwritten. Do you want to see the timeline?
I mean, just so everybody can see them, they're written on the back of Starbucks napkins. No, but okay, I'm joking. They're front and back. It is she's using cardstock.
No, it's just like thicker paper. It's not cardstock. It's like sketch paper.
Oh, okay.
I don't like writing on lines. Before I tell you the name of my story, I'm going to tell you my sources. I think. Yeah.
I say
Okay.
this is a novel thing. I'm here for it.
Okay. So my sources are an article in Atlas Obscura by Dan Nausowitz.
Oh, oh, if that's where we're going for sources, I am here. I love
Uh-huh.
them.
Me too. And this article is gold. Like so much fun. Another article by Jennifer Duffy. She is the guide and the information officer at Dublin Castle.
Oh,
Um, a website called cc.mcgill.ca, which I think is an educational like a article where you would go for like a college article publication type thing, like a library type for a school where it's
okay. So
just like the
very
PDF.
academic, like our okay.
Yeah, yeah. My idea comes from an episode of Legend Hunters that I watched in 2019 and have not been able to stop thinking about since then.
Oh, this is such a beautiful lead up, Angie.
I know, you're welcome. And my story is called Arthur Vickers and the Irish No Good Really Bad Day, aka the theft of the Irish crown jewels. Please
I
tell me you
haven't
don't know
heard
about
a
this.
single bit of this.
I am so excited because Ian was like, a lot of people know about this. And I'm like, a lot of people do not know about this. They don't even have crown jewels. And he was like, no, this is a widely known thing. And I'm like, you're pulling my leg. The only reason you know about this is because I've told you about it for the last 5 years.
I mean, like, okay, so to be fair, last week when we talked about our stories, like, I knew your story going in because I'd already compulsively researched it because of the meme that we'd sent back and forth. And you already knew most of what I was going to say. And so it's nice to have ones that we both know and
Oh,
then don't
no.
know. Like,
I know, it's
so
fun. Love it. So I actually had to, you can't really see it very clearly. I had to write down the order of
describe the jewels,
operations.
when,
Yeah.
where. Okay.
Because it's just so chaotic that, like, if you don't have a game plan going in, it just
It just spider webs all over the place.
absolutely everywhere. Okay, so the Irish crown jewels are in fact not really like crown jewels as we know them, like the crown, the scepter, the necklace that like Queen Elizabeth wears at the coronation.
Right.
The Irish crown jewels are actually the insignia of the illustrious order of St. Patrick, which is like the Irish version of the Order of the Garter or the Order of the Thistle.
Okay.
So I've heard about both of these before, but never really thought about it until I was like, what is the Order of St. Patrick? Like, I have questions now. But there's not a ton of information on the Order of St. Patrick, but there is on the Order of the Garter because that is the most well-known one. And the Order of the Garter is basically um to honor those who have held a public office, contributed to society, to like to their national life in society, or who have served the sovereign personally. So like for me to understand that, I needed to see like a modern day. Kate Middleton was given the Order of the Garter for serving the Queen.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So the Irish illustrious Order of St. Patrick is that version in Ireland,
Okay.
like the Order of the Thistle in Scotland. So it's the third most illustrious of the three. Whatever. Anyway, so the crown jewels are a star covered with Brazilian diamonds and an emerald trifoil, which is like a four-leaf clover. It's beautiful. A ruby cross on a blue enamel background and a diamond badge as well as 5 golden jewel covered collars that would be worn by the Knights of the Order.
Do we have any pictures? Do these still exist, or is this
Okay,
just
so there
written
are
record?
pictures. They're not I have yet to see any, like, obviously colored wasn't a thing in 1905. So they look more like sketches, but there are some black and white photos of them. So here's the thing. Once they were stolen, we've never seen them since.
No.
Yeah. All 394 jewels have been missing for over 100 years. Probably never to be seen again.
Wait. So wait, I'm just because I've been thinking about the celebrity body parts that keep rolling through history. I'm going to operate from here on out under the assumption that they are all inheritable. We just, somebody's great uncle has them in a shoebox, like they might have King Tut's scrotum that's been turned into a tobacco pouch, and it's under their bed, and we could inherit either one.
Yeah, more likely they were probably broken up and split apart.
I mean, it's
And
more
I'll,
likely to happen with jewels than a scrotum tobacco pouch.
to be fair, and I'll tell you why, but not till after the story's over. Because once the story's over, you'll be like, oh, okay, I could see how I splitting them up makes sense. Um, so I'm gonna give you the where. Dublin Castle in Ireland was they were originally, so okay. I got to get this right because it's a whole name that I keep jacking up. Ulster King of Arms. Okay. The office of the Ulster King of Arms used to be situated in Birmingham Tower in Dublin Castle. However, in 1901, when Mr. Arthur Vickers assumes the position of the Ulster King of Arms, he decides to have his offices moved to Bedford Tower, also situated in Dublin Castle. Dublin Castle is a riot, and I'm going to tell you, I actually VR Oculus it last night because I wanted to know if we could actually see the library where the safe was stored.
Wait. So let me zoom out and like get clarification. You have a VR headset
Mm-hmm.
and you put it on and
Mm-hmm.
you virtually toured this space.
I virtually toured the outside of the space. I could not find an inside, but the outside of the space was absolutely amazing. And I'm going to continue to look because I really want to know what the interior library looked like because I think that plays a huge role in how the jewels went missing in the first place.
I'm already imagining like that huge rolling bookcase or book ladder in like Beauty and the Beast. And I'm just imagining you sliding from one end of the library to the other on that thing.
I 100% would do that if I was allowed to do that. Yeah. To me, when I think of this particular library, I don't think it's a ginormous library because it also served as the waiting area for Mr. Vickers' office. So I'm thinking it's more
Okay.
low ceilinged than like big grand cavernous like Trinity College
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so he decides in 1901 to have a strong room built. I had to go on a little rabbit trail and find out about strong rooms
Are they
because
like panic rooms?
essentially, yeah, they're basically safe rooms, and they have. So I'm going to give you the dictionary.com um, write up about them. They are basically like a strong room is a fireproof, burgle proof room for valuables. So typically they have like at least a 10 millimeter thick steel wall, an
10,
interior door, and
10
an exterior
millimeter?
door.
That's not
I
very
believe
thick.
10 millimeter, 10. It's not 10
That's
meters.
that's this big.
Well, whatever it is to be fireproof,
Centimeter?
maybe 10 centimeters.
Because millimeter is literally this big. Like you would get a 10 millimeter ring and it wouldn't eat, like it would be like a
Yeah, so
thick
not
band.
millimeters. So not millimeters. Thick enough to be fireproof of
Everybody who
steel wall.
knows the metric is like screaming at this point.
I know. They're probably rolling over dead right now. I'm really
All
sorry, you
five
guys.
people from England who listen to this podcast are like You dumb Yanks.
Sorry.
Okay, but how many strips of bacon thick is it?
Like 15. Are you talking about thick
Okay.
cut bacon? Like 15 thick cut
See,
bacon.
we just got to convert it to a measurement that we understand.
Yeah, at least 15 slices of thick cut bacon.
Okay,
Through steel
now I
wall,
know how to fireproof my kitchen. Okay.
but not with bacon. So it's burgle proof, it's fireproof, it's meant to store your valuables. So I mean, like you could totally use it as a panic room, but I'm not sure how you're gonna get out once the door's shut. There are supposed to be two doors on the safe room. So in 1901, when Arthur Vickers tells the establishment we need to build a safe room to put the safe in to keep the crown jewels. Okay, rewind like 10 seconds. Arthur Vickers hates having the job of guarding the jewels. He hates it. The reason he's into this job is the Ulster of Arms is a genealogist research job. Like he attends to heraldic titles and determining for like inheritance purposes where your valuables go.
Okay, so
So
he's like part librarian, part lawyer.
part genealogist, and he is 100% in it for that.
And
However,
his job also includes guarding crown jewels.
um, yes, and only because his office is in Dublin Castle,
This is such a junk drawer role.
right? So he signs up for it because he's way into the heraldry and the genealogy, and that's his like life's passion. Guarding the jewels is just kind of like a meh. I hate this part, but I'm gonna do it because
This is the data entry part of the role that you just have to do.
right. And typically the jewels aren't stored at the castle. They're only there when they know heads of state are coming.
That makes sense.
So
This checks.
right, so they are typically stored at the jewelers, and the jewelers will bring them there like when the king is coming or when there's going to be an investiture service by the viceroy. So they're like 90% of the year they're not there anyway. So Arthur's like living his best life. He's like, okay, I hate these jewels, I don't have anything to do with them,
Wait,
but
interrupting question.
yes.
Because I realized when we covered Doris Payne, she robbed one of the jewelers that served the royal family. I'm wait, no, because the crown jewels in England are kept at the Tower of London, if I'm not terribly off base.
That
I'm
seems right.
I'm just wondering, like, is this common practice for the jeweler to keep the jewels in the safe at their facility, or is this just a
I think in this case it is because this jeweler has been caring for the jewels of Ireland for at least 100 years.
I realize I just asked a very stupid question. It's like, is there a standardization and best practice worldwide for handling crown jewels? And I'm looking back, it's like, no, everybody does their own thing because everybody has a very different setup and history that got them there.
Yeah, but also you would think there would be standardization for something like this. But I guess there's not. However, this jeweler took its job so seriously that they would like when they would attend to cleaning the silver, like the silverware, they
Yeah.
would count every piece to make sure, like they'd count it when it left the castle, they'd count it when it returned to the castle to make sure that everything was there.
Having worked at a jewelry store, you count every piece of jewelry every single day, whether it left the case or not.
Right. So the jewelers take the job of guarding the jewels very seriously. Arthur Vickers, not so much. He kind of hates it. But in the meantime, he tells like the city works department basically that we need to build a safe room in Bedford Tower where my new office is going to be situated so the safe can go in the safe room. And they're like, cool. This sounds great. So they build the safe room. Unfortunately, they did not measure twice and cut once. The safe does not fit through the door to the safe room.
I know this pain. When we bought a new refrigerator because ours died, we bought one too big for the space. And so if the guys had brought it into the house, we would not have been able to open the door.
Yep. Yeah. So think exactly that. But with a safe that's meant to
Yeah.
hold the crown jewels and other valuable manuscripts of Ireland.
And so I'm assuming same for importance, like a refrigerator for, us poor mouths and a safe for the crown jewels. This is on equal priority, oh crap levels.
Right. So they do the only thing that makes sense. They just put the safe in the library. Um,
Hey, it's good enough.
right. So I'm gonna read part of Dan Nosowitz's article in relationship to this because it made me laugh so hard. Having already endured months of renovations and faced with the possibility of having to knock down walls to fit the stupid safe through the stupid doorway, or having to go through tons of stupid red tape to get a stupid smaller safe that would have fit through the stupid doorway, Vickers and the Board of Works decided enough was enough. They opted to place the safe in the library with a sentry outside. This would be just temporary until they figured out a solution to the doorway problem.
Question. That's the official quote.
That's Dan Noswitz, the writer of the article on Atlas Obscura's quote.
Okay, because like everything, I always get so happy when I read official quotes from people who clearly have had no media training.
Me too. Yep.
It's just like, oh, this is so amazing, and
I
this would
want you to
never
stop,
fly.
but oh god.
Yeah, like literally anybody who's had an iota of training in this regard is screaming and saying, you can't say this, you don't do this. And it is so absolutely delightful.
Right. I had to read that verbatim. When I read that, I literally laughed out loud, like the stupid door and the stupid safe.
Oh yeah, because they're just every day ends with a very stiff drink. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to wade through the swear words to get to that drink.
Yep. So then the next paragraph goes on to say, so remember, starts in 1901 that the renovations to Bedford Tower begin. In 1905,
Okay,
Vickers.
okay, before you even go any further, like I'm just going to say this checks because renovations, any kind of construction work lasts longer than any contractor says they're going to by a long shot. And it's
Uh-huh.
always twice as expensive as that quote says.
And 4 times as long, right?
Yeah.
So the next paragraph of the article goes on to say in 1905, Vickers wrote some revised statutes for his office, which included stipulations that the jewels must be kept in a safe, which must be kept in a strong room. Vickers seems to have been extremely passionate about heraldry and sort of annoyed that he also had to guard the jewels, and he never got around to actually moving the safe from the library.
To be fair, to be fair,
Thank you.
there is a stupid safe and a stupid door and the stupid measure. Like there's several layers,
Stupid.
and I don't blame him.
Neither do I, but
Okay, we're about to blame him, is what I'm hearing.
it's anyway.
Oh crap.
So I just real quick because I didn't tell you this beforehand. The
Intentionally, or did
jewels.
you forget?
No, I completely forgot. The jewels that they used to make these Irish crown jewels, which by the way got the name crown jewels from a newspaper article after the theft of them. So they weren't called the Irish crown jewels until 1907 when they were stolen.
What were they called before then?
They were just the jewels of the illustrious order of St. Patrick, but like they didn't really have a name.
I mean, that kind of doesn't flow.
As easy as Irish crown jewels, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that particular set of jewels formerly belonged to Queen Charlotte, our favorite queen of England, at least in my opinion. Thank you, Bridgerton.
Okay, but okay,
Queen Charlotte.
hold up. Who is Queen Charlotte married to? Because I feel like she was a queen consort.
She was King George, the man that was involved in that little skirmish called the American War of Independence.
Okay.
The Revolution.
Okay.
So she I'm trying to find I don't know what happened to my exact note about this, but long story short, her son decides that the illustrious order of St. Patrick needs to have some jewels. So he goes into mom's collection. Of course, he's now sitting in the throne. So it's
Okay, so mom still alive? Is she
you
the
know,
queen mom?
I'm not sure if she's still alive at this point, but she all seems to be okay with this happening. And he offers up some of her jewels to create these badge and star and collar.
That's very different than me thinking of kid pilfering through or rifling through my jewelry box, being like, I'm gonna give these to my friends and we're gonna form a club.
Yeah, I don't think it happened exactly like that, but it is fun to note, at least it was for me, to realize that the Irish crown jewels formerly belonged to Queen Charlotte. I thought that was like really cool because she's such an interesting lady already.
Mm.
And then to make the connection because they didn't previously make the connection before that it was her husband that lost the US. But anyway.
Yeah.
So, the months of May to August, roughly May to July, more specifically, are really important months this year of 1907. King Edward the Third is really needing a great summer. His nephew, King Edward the Seventh, needs the summer to go super duper smooth. There have been some royal scandals in Europe recently. His nephew, Kaiser Wilhelm II of Prussia, had kind of a big one.
Okay,
Who?
so Wilhelm the First is the one who mediated the pig war.
So his son, which incidentally is also the great great grandson of Augustus, who was the brother of my homie Frederick II of Prussia, the great potato king.
Wait, okay, hold on. Because I say that and I don't know if that timeline makes sense because the pig war was in 1838, 1840, 1848.
Well, I mean, it's 1907, so 50 years.
Okay, this checks. Okay, I'm with you now. I thought we okay.
So we're good.
Yeah, we're good. My I'm tracking now.
Okay. So King Edward is looking at this scandal of Kaiser Wilhelm, his nephew, and he's like, okay, England is not looking so hot in the Irish eyes right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're less than 15 years from the War of Independence for Ireland. So already like there's some boiling of tension, some uneasiness, if you will. So the summer of 1907 is supposed to be this like English Irish exhibition of culture. So in July, King Edward is scheduled to come to Ireland and take part in an investiture ceremony wearing these jewels.
Okay.
Okay. This is so stupid. June 28th, Vickers shows up to Bedford Tower as he normally does. Only once he gets there, he realizes he has left his keys at home, which is very out of the ordinary for Vickers. He was like, despite the fact that he didn't want to guard these jewels, he was very sticklery about knowing where the keys are. Like he kept both of the keys to the safe itself, one on his person and one at home. He was the only one that had keys to the safe. And he was very like detail oriented. So for him to forget his keys was a little bit off, but it is worth noting. He forgot his keys. The sentry at the door just lets him in because he's Mr. Vickers. He's the King
Right.
Master of Arms. Like, why wouldn't I just let him in? So July 3rd rolls around, and Mrs. Farrell, the cleaning lady, finds the front door to the tower unlocked. She tells Mr. Vickers. Mr. Vickers does nothing. And again, this seems unusual because he is a staunch, like, rule following.
You lock the
I
door behind you. You keep the thermostat at this level. I am dad. I have spoken.
Exactly. But again, it just kind of gets brushed under the rug. Okay, fine, whatever. July 6th, Miss Farrell finds the outer door to the strong room unlocked. The inner door was still locked, but it had the key in it, which I guess was
Oh,
common if people were in the office. Like the inner door to so the strong room held like manuscripts and other valuables, but
Okay.
not the safe with crown jewels in it.
Because that's still in the
So
library, right? Or did
because
that
that's
finally make it?
nope,
Okay.
it's still in the library. So she tells Stivey,
Who's
who is
Stevie?
like Stivey is Mr. Vickers. In one source, he's called his assistant. In another source, he's called the sentry. So I think he served a little bit of both.
They both had junk drawer roles.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Stivey gives a good look about the room, and to quote, he finds nothing amiss.
Look over here. Look over here. You know what? I'm gonna go have a smoke break. It's fine.
Right. The best part about knowing this is so he looks over the strong room and finds nothing amiss. The library that the safe was in had several entrances, and when the sentry was there, he couldn't always see the safe to begin with. So I think that's worth noting. It seems kind of silly to put a sentry there and not place him right on top of the safe if that's what he's supposed to be guarding in the first place.
This room is suddenly bigger than just a small waiting room.
Very silly. Um, Later on the 6th of July, a messenger from West and Son, the jeweler, shows up to give them back a collar that was being repaired or altered for this upcoming
Yep.
investiture ceremony. Because mind you, now this is 4 days before the king's supposed to arrive, so the jewels are officially in state at Dublin Castle. Like they've been there at least a few weeks by now,
Okay.
just waiting for the arrival of the king. So the jeweler brings this collar. Vickers is like super deep into his genealogical work, so he hands the collar to Stivey to go place it in the safe. Stivey whistles his way down the hallway, makes it to the safe.
The door's wide open.
No,
Oh,
he puts
okay.
his key in and he turns it, and the door doesn't open. So he turns it the other way and it opens, and the realization hits him. The safe was unlocked to begin with when I got here.
Oh.
So he
Oh.
panics. He
Oh, that
runs back to Mr. Vickers. Mr. Vickers comes and they determine, oh crap, everything's gone. The jewels are all gone. What do we do? Here's where it gets a little bit questionable, because it wasn't questionable to begin with.
I mean, yeah, questions abound.
Yeah, one source says he immediately calls the police, which, by the way, serve in the same building. Like the Metropolitan Dublin Police, their headquarters is Dublin Castle.
They're just down the hall. Bill,
Pretty
Bill.
much. Yeah.
Hey, I know you heard me screaming, but yeah, glad you could come up the hall. Hey, small problem. If you see any lurkers, any loiterers,
You have a
is
oh
there
no?
a group of high school kids running around just kind
Well,
of mucking
tourists or
about?
anything? Because I feel like anyway, no. Okay, you
Gone
haven't
through the
seen anything.
reports? Do we have anything labeled sketch? Go through the tag sketch. Any?
Perhaps sus.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dublin Castle is considered to be one of the like most impregnable, highly observed buildings in all of Ireland.
First off, I love the word impregnable
Me
because I know
too.
what it means, but it's like unable to get pregnant. That's what it always like. That's always my first go to. And I'm just
Just
like,
imagining the castle with a little bump now.
yeah, it's just like, well, this castle forgot its chastity belt. It was not, it was pregnable for that
The
little bit
moat
of
was down.
the bridge was down because the moat's just
Yeah,
the
the moat
little
bridge,
ring
the
of
guard,
water.
the bridge. Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
mean the moat just the water level, right? Like the moat is the
well, it's the
pond.
moat's the water around it. Yeah,
The portcullis, the
yeah. I
little
think Portcullis is more like that was what was down or
okay.
up in this case.
Portcullis,
Anyway,
pants, same,
same,
pregnantable.
same. Yeah. So like there's constantly police presence, there's constantly military presence. So whoever decides to just like chasse into the vicar's library and steal his jewels has so much bravado
It's an
or
inside job.
totally knows what's going on. Right. Okay, so we'll get there. So eventually the police do get involved, and The king finds out, and the king is livid
Because
because
the king's like, okay, just I sent over my event coordinator, and he's just going to
Mhm.
go through the list. Do you have plates, dishes? Has the pork arrived? Okay. Next, we're going to talk about clothing. Okay, and jewels. Look, I just need to check. Everybody, nod your head. Yes, no. I got it. Okay.
Exactly.
Quit sidestepping the question. Are the jewels here?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Do I need to go to the
Yeah.
jeweler? Why are you crying?
Yeah, so he is furious because, like I said, he needs these months of exhibition between Ireland and England to go like butter, right? He needs it smooth. He needs no scandal. He needs no problems. He's already like, crap, we're having a hell of a year. My nephew's just been through this major scandal in Prussia. Half of his cabinet's like resigned. Like, what do we do? So the Dublin police begin an investigation. They get nowhere very quick. So the big guns get called in from Scotland Yard.
Are they also in Dublin Castle? I feel like they're probably in the West Tower.
No, Scotland Yard is in London.
You're right, as opposed to Ireland. Because that's not confusing at all.
At all, right? None of this is confusing at all. So at this point, the Scotland Yard's been called in. A reward of $1,000 has been put out, which today equals 140,000.
Thank you. That was going, you saw my brain going. I
Mm-hmm.
needed that calculation.
As do I. I thoroughly appreciate it. Oh, I forgot to mention the jewels today were worth around 4 million.
I think if they showed up in one piece, you could write your own check for that.
I agree with you.
I have a
They would
feeling
be
that the
priceless
word
at that point.
priceless.
Yeah. So Inspector John Kane shows up from Scotland Yard and he completes his investigation. He turns his report in. Um, Kane himself was Irish and he believed the job to be an inside job. However, his
Hey, these are my people. I'm Irish. We're in I don't know if you've known this. We're in Ireland. This
super sketchy.
I smell this. It smells like the blood of my countrymen.
Exactly. But his report was, quote, roundly rejected. And he is sent packing back to London.
That means they don't want it to be one of us. This trauma goes all drama, both goes all the
Both
way to the top.
for the last 700 years. So some believe he learned way too much, and the newspapers called it an obvious indication of a cover up.
I mean, it could just be bigotry.
Could be. At this point, there is now leads coming in left and right from people that have ideas and clues as to where these jewels are.
Everybody's
A
calling in their ex-boyfriend and husband.
Uh-huh, yep. A woman sends Mr. Vickers a letter saying that her daughter has had a vision.
Oh, we're at that level of investigation. Okay.
Yes. And Mr. Vickers thinks this is odd. Like he's not about this behavior, but he is also desperate because like his job's on the line, right? So he calls his friend. Are you ready for this?
I mean,
Shackleton. Does the name Shackleton ring a bell to you?
I don't know why it does.
Francis Shackleton is Ernest Shackleton's younger brother. Ernest Shackleton, the captain of the Endurance, the great Antarctic explorer.
No, didn't ring a bell. Like
Yeah.
I was like, I should know this, but nope, no bells were rung.
It literally, like, my brain exploded realizing that they lived at the exact same time as this event. Francis Shackleton is a bit of a rake, if you will, a cat about town.
Okay. So he's got the wig, he's got the fake mole.
The whole thing, he thoroughly enjoys his upper echelon aristocratic life. Mr. Vickers is very wealthy and is a good friend of Shackleton and pays half his bills for him.
I need friends like that.
Right? When Shackleton is in Ireland, he lives at Vickers' house.
Wait, confirm. Okay, hold on. I want to confirm everything that I have just heard. Um, he's a bit of a dandy.
Bit of a dandy, yeah. And very charming at that.
Okay. And this guy is the main character of the story, Signor Bookworm. He also is paying half of the dandy's bills.
half the deity's bills, and like seems by all accounts they're very good friends to
Okay,
this point.
so they are closeted lovers.
Well, I would say that, except for Shackleton has a boyfriend. Are you ready for this name? Because I about died.
I feel like I just stumbled onto something fantastical.
Richard Gorgeous.
By
I'm gonna let you
birth
get there.
or by
I don't
I'm
know.
I feel like I ask you that every episode. It's like, did this guy just assume his own mantle, or did he was he born to the gorgeous family?
He was born to a gorgeous family, but the fact that somebody gave him the first name of Richard just
Eh,
slays me.
Creme de la creme.
Chef's kiss. So Richard,
Wait. So
gorgeous.
hold on. Dude has a boyfriend and has another dude paying his bills.
Yeah, I guess that's life in upper echelon Victorian England, I guess.
Where do I submit my application? I have great husband and could use another dude to pay bills.
I think you need to go back like 100 years. I think we're screwed, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. But gorgeous is not particularly well liked. He is a ruffian, a scoundrel.
Look, God doesn't give with both hands. You can be gorgeous. You can be Dick Gorgeous, but you
There you
cannot
go.
be.
Nice. um, he is very violent. He served multiple different tours in the British Army. Um, he fought in the Boer Wars. Really not your go-to guy for like babysitting your puppy, you know? Like,
Look, there's some people you trust to have a beer with. There's other people you trust your puppy with. Very
yeah,
rarely is it both.
exactly. Have a beer with him. Don't give him your puppy. Oh, or at the very least, have him on your side when you have a beer in a bar fight because he's gonna win. So Francis and him are an item. I'm not so sure about his living situation. I just know that when Shackleton is in Ireland, he lives at Mr. Vickers' house, and then he goes back to England and he lives among the upper echelon of English society as well. He might be staying at his brother's house. I don't know. But anyway, so Vickers calls Shackleton and he's like, "Listen, this woman has said that her daughter has had a vision, and I'm not so cool like optics and everything with going out to listen to a psychic. So do you think you could arrange this meeting so that I'm kind of not seen?"
Mm-hmm.
So he arranges a seance and a meeting with this girl who says that they are buried in a cemetery in a little town just outside of Dublin.
Not too
That's
far away.
not too far away, and that's pretty much it. There are two towns that are just outside of Dublin with two cemeteries. So Vickers himself goes and digs them up.
Okay, we got a 50-50.
Yeah, he doesn't find anything.
But I'm assuming he dug maybe one hole, and there's probably lots of holes that could have been dug.
I'm not sure how much of either cemetery he dug up, but I know he dug up enough of both to decide that he wasn't finding the jewels there.
It
So
could
he
be a
goes,
lot, could be a little. I mean, there's
yeah,
there's a range of
he does not have a metal detector.
oh,
So interesting that I would say metal detector, because one of the things that was left behind when the jewels were stolen was a ribbon that held like the badge in place. But the ribbon had to be unscrewed from the badge itself to remove it. Like it wasn't just yanked off.
so
So
somebody took
whoever
some time.
exactly. So theories start to swirl. Biggers like claims he is innocence to his dying day. He demands a trial, like a public trial, but the powers that be are like, nope, not going to be a public trial. We don't need the scandal to get any more out of control than it already is. Like, we're trying to put a cap on this. King doesn't need any more problems. And Vickers is like, no, 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 I need a public trial so I can call my own witnesses and present evidence. And they're like, no, you can't do that. But what they do is give him a private trial, which is basically a sham, and he doesn't show up. So the government's like, we'll pay your pension, but you're fired. Like, you're out. You can't. Derelict of duties that you set up for yourself by saying the safe needed to be stored in the strong room, and then you didn't store it in the strong room.
So basically forced retirement with pay. This, I mean, kind of a bummer. You lost your role and you'll need to find, something to carry your time with, but I don't feel too bad for him.
Neither do I, but he does not take the pension because he thinks it's just hush money.
Stupid man.
Stupid man forced into retirement, but it's fine because he lives out the rest of his days at his half brother's beautiful estate in the Irish countryside. Unfortunately for him, in 1921, the the beginnings of the IRA came and shot him, believing that he was serving as a British spy, and the North remembers and all that.
Mm.
Yeah. So there are a handful of other players involved, all of which were given honorary titles by Vickers. Francis Shackleton was one of them. Gorgeous was Shackleton's boyfriend. His
That was his
nephew.
title. Listen, gorgeous. You get the title of boyfriend, and you're going to like it because this isn't something we do much during this time period.
Oh, it's super not smiled upon, especially in Ireland. So they relied solely on Francis's charm. Like they were allowed to be however they were going to be as long as Francis Shackleton stayed in the good graces of everybody, because it was illegal in Ireland.
Yep.
And like super frowned upon. So Vickers has a nephew. Are you ready for this name?
I
I
mean, we've already had Dick
absolutely
Gorgeous.
Right. Well, how about Pierce Gunn Mahoney?
So, all of you who are pregnant right now and are looking for baby names, just replay this episode because we've had some zingers.
Dick Gorgeous and Pierce Gunn Mahoney.
I mean, Gorgeous could be a middle name. You could be Richard Gorgeous Smith.
You absolutely could. Pierce is so loyal to Vickers. He's his nephew, and he comes from a very wealthy family, and he is just happy to have a title and a job.
Now, wait a
even
minute.
if its job duties are nothing.
I recognize he's a man, so we typically refer to him by his last name when we're telling stories and how they're written about him. But with a first name like that, can you just go back and say the name
Pierce,
one word?
Pierce Gunn Mahoney.
Oh, Pierce is his first name. So
Pierce is his first name. Gunn is his middle name. Mahoney is his last name.
That is a solid set.
Right. And he is, like I said, fiercely loyal to Vickers. At one point, he goes to lunch with like a journalist, and he is trying to clear Vickers' name. And he tells him, like, hey, my uncle did great work for everybody. And, sometimes here's a great example. Sometimes after work, he'd throw these little shindigs at the castle. And one time he's kind of a light drinker, and he passed out. And our friend, Lord Haddo, takes the keys to the safe, goes and steals the jewels, and mails them back via the post like a week later. So stuff like this happens all the time. So Lord Haddo happens to be the son of the Viceroy of Ireland.
Nobody has media training.
None. And Lord Haddo is like a prankster, and he is just looking for a good time. And he's the son of the Viceroy, the most powerful person in Ireland. So, like, what does he care, right? Like, whatever. So there's some belief that Vickers didn't immediately call the police, hoping they were just going to show back up because it's happened before.
We'll get a manila envelope. I mean, everything's gonna be tangled, but give me an hour. I can untangle it. Some strong coffee. I'll sit down. I'll sort it. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. We're gonna be fine. Needless to say, this does not help Vickers' optics, and he is a mockery of town, right? Like, Pierce is trying his best, or Mahoney is trying his best, and it is just not going well. He also, in his inner circle, is a man named Francis Bennett Goldeneye, Goldney.
Goldeneye. We're going with Goldeneye from here on out. I mean,
yeah, who is an antiquities scholar, if you will. And Vickers thought he was a bit abrasive, wasn't overly fond of him. He met him at like an antiques, for lack of a better word, I'm going to call it a seminar. Yeah, like an Antiques Roadshow. And he kind of invited him into his inner circle because the information that Goldeneye had would help Vickers with his genealogical and heraldic research.
That's, this checks.
Um, yeah. However, Goldeneye basically just like out front asks him for a position and a title within in the office, and Vickers is kind of taken aback because usually you don't just ask for these roles; they're given to you.
I mean, that's the difference between, I think, English and Americans.
Right.
Like the British are like, I've known your family for years. You would be of great service if you could step into this role. Meanwhile, us Americans are like, hey, bruh,
Listen here, bud. I got an
hey,
idea.
look, I don't know if you've seen my resume. I'd kill it in this role.
Right, and that's pretty much what he did. And so Vickers was like, "Oh, okay, like yeah, you can be part of my inner circle," and he lets him in. Within 3 months of Goldeneye being there, the jewels go missing. So he started maybe May of 1907. No one knows what happened to these jewels. Every one of these men met a less than ideal end at some point. Like none of them just died happy of old age. So there's some that believe, karma follows you around. You guys were all clearly involved in the theft of these jewels. Karma's going to eat you alive now, right? Um, so there's a handful of theories as to what happened. But before I ask you yours, I should tell you that after Goldeneye died, it comes to light that he is a thief, a scoundrel, and a rogue. Also, he was the mayor of Canterbury at some point, but that's besides the point.
I mean, I feel like the main character, Vickers, I don't think that he did it. I think he is a victim of circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he clearly designed this whole thing that he's suffering from, but I think that
He was the architect of his own downfall.
yeah, but
Yeah.
he didn't necessarily steal them himself. He just set up the plans. Um, I mean, Goldeneye's a great opportunity, but I feel like you just also mentioned him last, but
Because he was not, he showed up last. He was the last to the party
right. I mean, but
before they were stolen.
that said, history's going to paint him just as the most likely.
Now, interesting enough, the Do Go On podcast notes, and I think this is worth pointing out, he was the only one in the group without an alibi.
Alibis can be fabricated because you've got guys like Dick Gorgeous running around here starting bar fights just to help enable alibis.
Right. Which I honestly, in my opinion, because I've been mulling this story over in my mind since 2019, I think Vickers is a victim of his own, like I said, the architect of his own downfall. I think Pierce Mahoney was also innocent. I don't think he had anything to do with any of it because he just seems so young and naive and not like anybody would let him in on the information.
Yeah, I mean, you don't tell Loudmouth, who doesn't keep his mouth shut after he signed an NDA.
Right. I do think the other three were involved. Whether there's a lot of people that because on Vickers, his like the last line of his will and testament is outright pointing the blame at Francis Shackleton. Like he did this.
But I mean, to be fair, I don't know if I would trust him and his will. I mean, I get that, you're gonna, but you can be wrong on your deathbed.
Oh, you absolutely can. But
I plan
Francis
on being wrong on my
Shackleton,
deathbed.
Francis Shackleton wasn't known for being the best with money
I mean, he did
or the most
require somebody else to pay half his bills, so
right,
I'm following.
right, or the best with decisions. So I in my opinion, I believe that if he wasn't the one that did it, he was definitely involved. Like maybe he's the one that got the inner key to the safe.
He could
Um
have been a patsy.
he could have been a patsy. I genuinely think it was Dick Gorgeous. And this is why. He was a military man. He would have been seen at Dublin Castle and just glazed over. No one would have even noticed him.
Right. But didn't he have an alibi?
Kind of. But none of them. So in the investigation, none of their alibis were actually interviewed.
Oh, okay. It's one of those investigations. Okay.
Yeah, because the Crown wanted this kiboshed yesterday. Like, put a lid on this. We don't need another scandal, because part of the problem with even mentioning this to the newspapers is Francis Shackleton's sexuality.
All right. This
Kaiser,
checks.
right? Kaiser Wilhelm's scandal was a huge sex scandal. And like Europe is still reeling from this. So the King of England is like, yeah, no, not in my house. I can't go through this. We just did this like 10 minutes ago. Not going to do it again. So there's belief that the government just kiboshed it and let everybody get away with doing it, because we can't let this get out to the media that there's potentially a homosexual involved in this,
Dick
which is
Gorgeous,
so
the jewel thief.
right. Um, I think Dick Gorgeous was definitely involved. I also think that given the time and the tensions within Ireland, it probably was a nationalist. Like, I think there was a handful of people involved, and that whoever actually removed the jewels, we're never going to know the name of them.
I think the more people who know about it, the less likely it is to stay secret.
I do agree with that. I also think that in this case they did it for to make a statement. Like, they weren't just trying to take jewels for the money, they were trying to take the jewels for a statement. And I say that because of the amount of times that Mrs. Farrell reported a door was left open and nothing happened. Like, it seems like a couple of the sources I have believe that the thieves actually came back like multiple times to be like, hey, have you checked yet? Hey, have you checked yet? Like,
Yikes.
yeah. So the day that the caller returns from the jewelers and they go to put it back in the safe was the first time they opened the safe in how many weeks? Which makes me think this was a what is the word, like interpretive dance. That's not the right word.
It should be. It should be.
Thank you. That it was definitely done on purpose, definitely done to discredit the crown, to discredit the government in Ireland, and to make a show, to be a showpiece.
Mm.
Dick Gorgeous was definitely involved, in my opinion.
I
That's all I'm
mean,
saying.
with a name like that.
How could he not be involved? I'm just saying. So there you have it. There's my story. And thank you,
Okay.
Dan
I
Nosowich, to just hit it out of the park with his article on Atlas Obscura.
I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. I love that I've never heard it. And I just imagine Dick Gorgeous pulling a Doris Payne and sitting in the, like, I'm imagining a hotel bathroom, and he's just taking toenail clippers and pulling apart the crown jewels.
Okay, so when I asked Ian about this, because he always has something really snappy to say in Missing Treasure, like he always has, like, well, in his mind, how you would handle it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so what would you do if, like, your mate shows up and he has got the Irish crown jewels, like, and you need to hide them? Like, are you going to keep them together? And he's like, no, you take them apart.
You have to.
Right.
And
And
like,
I was
not
like,
all of the pieces are equally as valuable, because you got like that blue enamel background. It's pretty, but that's not the expensive part.
right, it's the 394 other jewels that are on there.
Right. And it's that blue
Emeralds,
enamel's going to get you caught. So you flake that
diamonds.
off.
Right. So I'm thinking, to me, it. I told Ian, like, it hit me like a Mack truck yesterday. I looked at him and said, if this was the Irish Resistance were involved in any of this at all, that could have funded them for decades to be able to like slough those diamonds off and sell them anywhere in Europe easily.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I like the statement piece of obviously taking the thing that is such an indicator of English rule in Ireland and being like, meh, we're just gonna fund a revolution with this.
It
So
would have been
I
even cooler if they won. Like, if we had stolen the crown jewels and won.
and our president wore the crown now. Is that treason? Can they say that?
Yeah, I mean, we really don't have any solid vestiges like that, but
Yeah,
that's,
no. I really want to see a president in a crown now.
I
But I
don't.
guess that's why they're not called kings, though.
I feel like we get a lot of political cartoons that show just that, and that's
Yeah,
frightening when it happens.
yeah, I'm gonna let you have that one. I mean, having succeeded in stealing the English crown jewels would have been quite the event for our
Mm.
founding fathers.
I mean, but there wasn't a giant ocean between that, so I mean, it would have required a bit more
Hmm.
shenanigans. Like we would have needed several Dick Gorgeouses.
I think we had several Dick Gorgeouses. I think really all it took was a Lafayette. We would have been fine.
Right.
Yeah, I so yeah, that's my favorite story. I the amount of just in attention to detail. The fact that he set up his own downfall by insisting that the safe be put in the safe room and then not putting it in the safe room for 6 years.
I mean, everything about that is like, look, I read one article on best practices and we're going to do it. And then it's like, it's going to be hard. Okay, fine.
You know what? It's fine in the
You know
library.
what?
That's
Just
fine.
just leave it in the kitchen. You will store the extra eggs in it. It's fine. I don't care. We'll give the
I
cooks the keys to the safe because they obviously need to get eggs. Like this is fine.
Yes. Okay. So I forgot to mention this because it's kind of not the biggest part of the thing, but there are several sets of keys to the outer door to Bedford Tower, to the safe room, and then the two keys to the safe itself, or to the strong room, and then the two keys to the safe itself.
This checks. I mean, it is a castle. There's going to be lots of keys.
Right. So both the keys to the safe room, I did mention this, Vickers had in his possession,
But who's to say he
except
locked the
for
door?
well, and who's to say that when Lord Haddo had his night of stealing the jewels himself, he didn't have a key made?
I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, keys don't stay. I mean, you can engrave do not duplicate on the back of it, but
And it's going to be duplicated.
yeah,
And additionally, one of the main reasons that Shackleton was so implicated in this is because he did live at Vickers' house when he was in Ireland. The other safe key was kept in Vickers'
in the
desk
house.
drawer,
Yeah. And you
and
just need to,
Shackleton
yeah,
knew.
run that down to Home Depot and be like, I just need it. You know what? It's fine. I know it says don't duplicate, but I promise you, look, it's me, right? It's me. Do you
Right,
see me? Like, do you
right,
think just duplicate the key? I just need this done.
right.
This wig doesn't talk to minimum wage workers for very long. Just get it done.
Exactly. So I think Shackleton was involved to some degree, whether it was just the key or he played the patsy. I think Dick Gorgeous was definitely involved, but I honestly think that it was more of a statement piece from the resistance. Um, I'm not sure how either of them would have gotten involved. They seem to have both been loyal to the crown, but who knows? Money talks. So
Mm,
yeah,
I
safe
love
in
it.
me.
I
Yeah.
realize we've been going for a while. We should probably let people know where they can find us and then let them have the rest of their day back.
Okay.
Okay, so on that note, if you're looking for us, you want to get a hold of us, you want to, add any corrections because maybe he never went by Dick Gorgeous, and you know this because you have his personal diary and you can provide the alibi. We're here for it.
I would
You
love to read his personal diary.
you could send us all of this or something completely different at unhinged.historypod@gmail.com. And if you're listening, smack that subscribe button, click like, and leave us a review. Let us know what you think and that your crazy plays well with our crazy, because that's what we're here for. So, on that note,
You made me snort.
if we make you snort, let us know at. All right. So, have a great day. Goodbye.